Good morning. Today we're going to talk about a subject called job success formulas. And for us, this is the secret for successful talent management. We've thought long and hard about the title for this one. You may not have heard of a job success formula before. It's quite unique to the analytics tool that we use, but we certainly do see it as being the secret for successful talent management. And again, what do we mean by talent management? We've got acquisition. This is bringing people into your organizations, not just recruitment. This is acquisition of talent, and that'll include recruitment, but it includes onboarding, and it's looking at that talent for the future as well, which is then in the subject of succession planning. Succession planning, looking at the talent, the high potentials in your organization. Where are they going next? What's their ambition? JSF can help you with that. Also, the improvement of Aspire, which is the development piece. Again, if somebody is looking to be on the succession planning route and you're looking to do that with them, well, there won't be a good fit just yet. So there's some gaps in there. Those gaps will be the development or the improvement needs. So we can see from the JSF the behavioural elements we're going to look at. And as we said before, if you do all of these things really well, retention and engagement becomes a reward. It's not the starting point. It's a reward for a good talent management or successful talent management program. So just to repeat that, the secret for successful talent management, job success formulas.
What people tend to use is what we call a 2D approach, which can be very subjective. So you've got the CV and you've got a job description. So it's people trying to sort of make a fit. It's almost trying to make a 3-piece jigsaw with only 2 pieces. So you've got the CV, which includes things like the eligibility factors, the qualifications, experience, that type of thing. Job descriptions, which sometimes you get a really good detailed comprehensive job description. Sometimes they can be quite bare and not very well thought out. So the first thing is trying to obviously make sure it's a decent job description with a good explanation of that specific role. But the problem is with that 2D approach of the CV and the job description, trying to make a match, it is, as I mentioned, it's very subjective. It's very difficult to keep the personal bias out that approach. So you see someone, you like them, or you like a CV, or there might be something on the CV even, like they've been to the same university or something in common with yourself. You will tend to like them, which I think we've spoke about in previous videos, called the horns and halo effect. So it's trying to keep that unconscious or that personal bias out the process, and to make sure you make the right decision or as best as you can. Because we've spoke as well about the cost of a bad hire. I think we've mentioned some of the stats showing, I think it was 300% of the salary.
Yeah,
that can
300%.
300% of the cost of a bad hire. So taking the personal bias out the way, taking the horns or the halo effect out the process, and not relying on the 2D element of a CV and a job description.
Yeah. I think, in the summary there, just that cost of a bad hire, we've said it many times before, but potentially up to 300%. And this is what you'll be feeling in an organisation where my talent management or my recruitment or my acquisition strategy is not quite working. It feels painful, feels expensive. It's maybe because there's a fair bit of rework in the system, so the return on investment doesn't seem that good. So the 2D approach is one way, and we've all experienced this, and I guess some of you guys are still experiencing that as well. CVs, and we're comparing against a job description. So it's flat. It's on sort of those 2 dimensions. So you want a more rounded picture. So we talk about the 3D approach, which becomes much more objective. Yeah. The subjectivity, try and take that as best you can. And there's ways to do that, as we said. Be aware of the horns and halo effect, the unconscious bias. Try not to see the individual. Yeah, let's look at the CVs. Let's have a look at anything we can before we actually see them, because you can form that unconscious bias pretty quickly. So the 3D approach is objective. The CV still in there. has to be in there, and the job description's in there. Good quality job description.
Yeah, we just mentioned the job description as well.
Yeah.
3 key
Yeah.
elements in there. You mentioned the eligibility, which sometimes can be seen on the CV. Suitability elements, which are more behavioural aspects of the role, and also the key performance indicators. So how do you know that person's actually going to do a good job?
So it's not just a job description, which is, here's some things I want you to do. It's starting to open up some other elements in there. So you've got a better measure, a bit more objectivity. So 3D approach, have the CV, have the job description, and you're comparing eligibility. You're comparing the fit with the job description on mainly eligibility factors, but some suitability as well, some behavioural factors. But again, that will still be subjective.
Yeah.
Where you bring in the objectivity is using the JSF, the job success formula, which is essentially built around the other factors in there. So what CV are we looking for? That's the job description, which is a good indication of the what and the how that you want, and how to measure that as well. And the JSF brings in an element of the how, the details of the behavioural preferences and tendencies for a very specific job role.
Yeah, I think that's the key as well. It is role specific.
Yeah.
It's benchmarked traits against the success factors within that role.
Yeah. So what do you mean by benchmark traits?
It basically, in the tool we use, Harrison Assessments, for our predictive analytics, which we've mentioned a couple of times in the previous videos. The job success factors, there's essentially the job success formulas. There's 6,500 job success formulas in the library. So we've got a library where we've got access to 6,500 jobs. And the beauty is that a lot of the work's been done on those templates, or those seeds, if you like, because it's benchmarked success factors. So what are the successful elements? What does it look like? What does success look like in terms of behaviours and preferences, etc., for that role? So they're just sitting there in the job success formula, proven to be. So if somebody has got similar traits to those JSFs, they're more likely to be successful in that role.
So if we threw in a couple of examples, then we say a chief executive officer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could we go into the Harrison assessment tool and look for CEO and look for JSF? The answer is yes.
Absolutely.
There's one in there. So that would then say the factors for success or likely success in that particular position, behaviourally and behavioural tendencies, they would be listed. They would be measurable against the individual.
Absolutely. What you're looking for is you're looking for similar traits.
Yeah.
Because if those traits, based on real good objective data, they've been proven to be successful in that role. So what I'm trying to do is look for somebody who's similar to those, because we know what success looks like in those elements.
So, and these are at different levels in organisation. So we talk about CEO, you can have HR directors, we can come down to operations management, we can come down to chief operating officer, and we come down to the junior levels of management too, and also lower elements of job success in different industries. So 6,500 job success formulas, and those success formulas, as Trevor said, they have the benchmark traits, which will most likely demonstrate or predict success in that particular role.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's 3 key elements to it. Is you're looking at the essential traits. So those real strong areas that you're looking for people to be similar in those areas. The desirable traits, which are also important, but also the traits to avoid that you're not looking for at all. So you're trying to get them red flags. Yeah. So essential traits, desirable traits, and also the traits to avoid. That's what we're looking to measure.
So the 3D approach we're recommending is objective. Okay. There's a smart questionnaire, very simple 20-minute questionnaire to bring that objectivity. So you end up with, you've got your eligibility factors, your CV, your job description, but you've also now got some behavioural data now. So you've got like a 3-dimensional picture We've all got examples, okay? All got examples of, we've used the 2D approach. So we're operating on one plane, we can see certain elements of an individual, and we just cannot predict how they're going to operate in the live feed of a business. And it's not until you get them in there that you start to get that feedback. This JSF enables you to predict, okay? Predict, you've got 3 dimensions now, predict how they're most likely to behave in normal circumstances and under stress and pressure as well. So gives us a much broader 3D visualization of the individual.
And just to add, Lindsay, as well, that extra dimension of the JSF, it's also customizable. So we don't recommend, we have a starting point with the template, which is in the system, but say if you're looking at an HR manager in this role or this company might be a bit different to another company. So we'll make the tweaks and we'll get that relevant information again from the job description, etc.
And I think this is possible as well to put in some cultural fit.
Absolutely. Yeah. Two things you can do. You can build cultural elements in to the job success formulas, or you can actually measure them in parallel through something which we'll cover in another series, another video, where we look at behavioural competencies, where you can align and map against organisational values. So that's another, I guess, whole topic in itself.
So that might be the 4D video then.
Yeah, the fourth dimension, yeah.
Okay, so just to move on a little bit, so talent management, I think it can be seen as expensive and also time consuming. Yeah, and I wouldn't disagree with that to some extent. That the time consuming bit is, well, I've got to interview 5 people for one particular post, so that's part of your acquisition process. Or I don't have anybody who is in the succession planning. Somebody's leaving the organisation with a lot of skills, good behaviour. I've got nobody to fill the gaps. It feels like a lot of work and can be time consuming. It can take a lot of your operational bandwidth when the problem arises, because that's not the right way to do it. And expensive, I think we spend money wastefully at times. Bringing somebody in is not the right fit, let's try somebody else. Or bring someone in who's not the right fit, and we just cope with it. We haven't really got the top performer, the high potential candidate we're really looking for. We've taken somebody because we need to fill the position, and maybe the unconscious bias kicks in, or the horns and halo effect, or we move too fast. And we've talked about it many a time. We'll keep doing it, because repeating the message will hit home at some stage. The cost of a bad hire, 300% potentially of that person's annual salary, through indirect costs, the recruitment costs, training, onboarding, and then maybe some compensation to leave the organisation. Equally, the cost of a good hire. You bring a great person in, but you're just not meeting their expectations for succession planning, and that will cost you money also. So again, talent management can be seen as expensive and time consuming. I think it's because we're not doing it the right way. If we look at the secret for successful talent management has been a JSF, if you get that bit right, spend the time there. It's not costing you a lot of money.
Well, I was just going to add, actually, Lindsay, because if you put the work in up front, so you get a good objective baseline of what you're going to measure against. Yeah. So you've got the line in the sand, you do the work up front, you understand what you're really looking for, and then in terms of time and cost and efficiency, because it's all automated, you're getting to the point where you can shortlist and get 2 or 3 people in front of you, because of course you still need to look at their CV, you still need the interview process, etc. But you can go through a lot of that stuff really efficiently in the background because you've done the work up front.
And we'll say with Aspire that what we're trying to bring here is the power to make confident people choices, and much better to be sitting in an interview situation, which we still highly recommend you do that, to be sitting there with a lot of confidence, thinking, okay, being measured objectively, the person sitting in front of me is a really good fit for this organisation, is for this job role. And now I need to know, can I work with this individual? It's taking away a lot of the guesswork. You've got a lot of confidence that you're going to make a great hire here. Yeah. So, obviously we're looking for you to get a good return on your investment for your talent management strategy. And if you're using a 2D approach at this moment in time, then you'll struggle with that. The 3D approach is going to bring the objectivity in, it's going to bring that confidence in as well. As we said before, we use very clearly the Harrison Assessment Predictive Analytics tool. If you want to find out more, there's plenty of links in our content. There'll be a link in this one also. The JSFs are customizable from the 6,500 stock. So you can take the stock JSF and move that around to suit your organization. And again, all sounds really complex, but it's not. And it's the entry into the environment, 20-minute smart questionnaire. And you do not need any particular levels of qualifications or experience to fill it in. Any organization at any level, it's a 20-minute questionnaire.
We'll share a couple of links actually to share some example reports of what they look like, so you can see success factors in different roles. But also the thing to point out as well is, Lindsay mentioned there, the 6,500 jobs in the library. We can measure someone against all of those jobs if you wanted. Obviously, not that you would want to, but the results all come from the same 20-minute questionnaire.
So just to spin off on that then, so you've got an organisation, and they're using Harrison Assessment's Predictive Analytics, and they've got 5 job functions, which they would say are critical job functions. You have a JSF for every one of those, and then you can measure all your high potentials against those JSFs, so you can see where they've got some development needs.
Some people might be ready potentially to jump into one of those roles now.
So you can actually do that internal recruitment stroke acquisition piece, which is called succession planning, and look at, is there any behavioural gaps? Okay, let's now start developing this individual ready for that next level as well.
It's just like building an internal talent pool to feed into your succession planning. And as you've rightly said, look for gaps, develop now, but the development is aligned to something very specific, to the next step where that person could potentially move into.
Well, again, I think we've all probably got personal experience and we've seen it in others as well. You can be promoted to the next level based on your performance in the current level. You don't necessarily have the behavioural wherewithal to perform in that new role. So this gives you a chance to have a look at that, look at the gaps, and again, make the right choice, the confident choice for succession planning as well. Okay, so the call to action for the audience today is to think about now this 3-dimensional approach, which is the job success formula. And we're not recommending you go away and try and just work this out yourselves, okay? There is a tool there which can help you do this. We're being very clear in our communications now. It's the Harrison Assessments Predictive Analytics tool. You want information around that, we can give you that. Where we can build in CV, job description, the eligibility elements, and the behavioural tendencies and preferences, which will cover all elements of talent management, acquisition, succession planning, the improvement and development plans, and the retention and engagement, to ensure that you've got a great process. And we're saying here now, this 3-dimensional approach is the secret to an excellent and successful talent management strategy.
And it's just how that whole employee journey fits within, right across your talent management strategy, literally from that acquisition to even to when they may be exiting the business. So it's just really having a good structure to deal with that employee journey.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Speak to you next time.
Cheers.